there's only one way to get rich, quick. You have to get rich quick. That doesn't mean it's a get rich quick scheme. What I'm saying is this: it takes time to line up all the elements of success, to have all the stuff, the mindset stuff, and in the outer world to get all the marketing and the sales and the operational stuff just right. But once you have it all lined up just right, bam, you make money hard and fast. It comes in avalanches of abundance. That's how, ask any rich person, they will tell you, when I started hitting it, I hit it.
Of the end of the world.
We're here, the hotel we made it.
Now I wonder what my life is gonna mean in this go.
Don't yield or because here's what happens: is that as an entrepreneur, you have to prepare to fail. We fail more than we succeed, but we make so much when we succeed that it makes us 1,000 times better than the failure, right?
Exiting a business, and how do you create value within a business and ultimately sell that as an asset? Can you run us through why that's such a crucial skill for entrepreneurs to understand and where that might come into play?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the idea for every entrepreneur, because most entrepreneurs don't really love running businesses. They love starting businesses, building them, and then getting out of them. A friend of mine from Australia, Brett Godfrey, he's a brilliant guy, right? Brett, I was at Brett's house with Richard Branson, and Brett was there, and we became friendly. He's just a terrific guy. This is a really first-class, world-class entrepreneur. And we had this whole talk at dinner about, entrepreneurship and, things I had accomplished, things that he had accomplished, the mistakes he'd made, the bigger mistakes I had made, right? But we both had our successes and our failures, right? And I think what he said to me is so true for all entrepreneurs, is that because I love building a business. I love figuring the shit out. I love, the overcoming the hurdles. But then when it starts to run and I'm making money, I'm like, I'm done. Next, right? That's an entrepreneur's mentality. Not all entrepreneurs, but most entrepreneurs have that sort of like that on the shorter attention span side of things, right? Then we went to his house. He said, listen, Richard wants to meet you. So we flew out to Makepeace Island up by Noosa, and I met Richard Branson. Spent the night with Richard Branson, and I got to talk to Richard Branson for a while. We're in his hot tub there, me and Richard and my partner and Brett, and we're having this conversation. And Richard's the same way. These entrepreneurs, and he's like the ultimate uber entrepreneur, right? Say visionary. He's coming up with great ideas, trying to identify niche markets and not even massive markets where none exists. And yet Richard, again, once he's got it done, he's like, next, he's moving on to the next idea. So what does that mean in terms of the cash out? Well, as an entrepreneur, your goal should be to build your business up in a way that makes it saleable.
I'm going to ask the folks question. I'm going to ask a question about the brand. Okay, cool. Go for it. Now I have to ask, how do you sink a 170-foot yacht?
It's easy. You sink a 170-foot yacht by first taking a lot of drugs to cloud your judgment, which I did. Then you take the yacht out into a gale of like 20-foot waves. Then the finger of God comes down and he makes it 50-foot waves. And before you know, a 170-foot boat and 50-foot waves is like a thimble in the ocean. And that's it. We got hit by some wave and the porthole cracked and the boat went down.
Was there any moment that you look back on when you were going through the high times of Stratton Open and earning your money, that you just think that was amazing?
There was a lot of amazing moments, I think that the key moment, and this is the movie's coming out next year. The Wolf. It's actually starting to shoot in September, which is pretty exciting. There's a moment in Stratton when I was essentially invented the straight line system, which was actually what propelled Stratton. And it's still used all over Wall Street. This system of how do you actually take someone, a client, and raise money from them? How do you actually convert them into a prospect to a client, right? And it's this amazing strategy that was so powerful that it just blew everyone away. That moment, I would think, is when I realized when I hit on it, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember looking out into my boardroom that day, and it was a small, dilapidated boardroom with like 12 old wooden desks and guys just sitting there, calling leads the old-fashioned way before I invented the straight line. Then when I got up there and gave this dynamic speech to these guys, and I said, we're going to reinvent the firm. And the reason I brought DiCaprio, because that's really a signature scene in the movie, where this whole scene with DiCaprio has this epiphany, and he gets up and he says, everyone put the phones down. It's a sort of great scene, and you watch how from one idea a whole business is born. As an entrepreneur, that's all it takes. One idea, one.
And so, having been through all that, what do you know now that you wish you had have known back then?
I think that the thing that I didn't have back then was discipline to delay my gratification. In other words, I wanted to make the money so hard and fast and so quick. It was all about quick, right? And sometimes, simply to delay the amount of money that you make, to take a little bit of the slower path to the top. And I'm not talking dramatically slow. I'm just saying this much. I was making 50 million a year. I could have made 30 and done it exactly right. But I got caught up in this idea of greed, and greed being good, like Gordon Gekko said, right? He said, I'm the real, people say, oh, he's Gordon, people called me Gekko back then, along with the wolf, right? And I bought into that crap, and it's not true. Greed is not good. Ambition is good. Greed doesn't clarify and cut through anything. Passion clarifies and cuts through. Ambition clarifies and cuts through, right? So if I was going to give one piece of advice to entrepreneurs, okay, is number one, just go out and freaking do it. Number one, you are not the mistakes of your past. You're the resources and capabilities you've gleaned from your past. Losers dwell in the mistakes of the past. Winners, entrepreneurs, embrace the mistakes, learn from them, and propel to massive success. Right now, nice meeting you.
Cool.
Yeah, but we'll talk. Yeah,
Too easy.
talk to Nick. Let's set a time we can really talk more.
Thanks, that mate.
Okay, so we've got about a minute each. So if we could do one of these takes and get it right, we'll be right on fire.
No pressure. From the binge that sunk a 170-foot motor yacht, crashed a Gulfstream Jet, and ran up a $700,000 hotel tab, to the wife and kids who were waiting for him at home, and the fast-talking, hard-partying stockbrokers who called him the king, Jordan Belfort in the 1990s became one of the most infamous names in American finance.
I'm waking up at the start of the end of the world, but it's feeling just like every other morning before. Now I wonder what my life is gonna mean if it's gone.